Hello, my name is Shalon Lazelle, and I thank you first for clicking on this video and being essentially interested in my reflection of the Daniel fast that I just recently completed. And just to give you a little backstory, if you know me, you know that my life has been in quite a bit of a transition in the last year. And I really, truly am allowing God to be the orchestrator of my life and the leader of my life. And I've completely surrendered everything to Him, everything. And so that's been a transition. And I'll say that as someone who is a go getter and somebody who's very ambitious, uh, it's been a little bit difficult to give that up. And I'll get into more of that later on. But just as an introduction, the purpose of me putting this video out is just to give my reflection of my recently completed Daniel fast, give some more information on what that looks like, as well as, truly give perspective on my experience throughout the entire 3 weeks. All right, so thank you again. Please like, share if you think this message will definitely help someone else, and subscribe to the channel. So if you don't know who Daniel is a prophet that is in the Bible. Daniel's life had many ups and downs. But ultimately, what resonates with me with Daniel is his faith in God, his undeniable faith in God, his obedience to God, his convictions, and, just how he represents that ultimate faith that we should have in God. And Daniel was subjected to many different things, but probably the most famous or the most infamous that we know is Daniel being placed in a lion's den and coming out of that unharmed. Now, if you think about that, it sounds crazy, but Daniel had such a strong faith in God to pull him out of that situation and to protect him in that situation, that God delivered on that promise. And he comes up out of the den, and they cannot believe that he is untouched. And so I think for me, that piece of it, in terms of his faith and his understanding of God's will, definitely resonated with me. And so you can find Daniel has his own book in the Holy Bible, and you have to read through the whole entire chapter, because it starts off, he does really well for a little bit, and then because he is convicted in many different things that the king was requiring of the people, he gets persecuted as well. So having that understanding too, as a Christian, that sometimes your convictions will lead to persecution. And you have to know and understand that God will provide during those times, and that you have to get your strength from God. But anyway, for me personally, so as I mentioned, my entire life has gone through a transition this past year. And I think that there comes a point in time where, as a Christian, we have to come up higher. There's not going to be an excuse for a lack of knowledge for you not to adhere to God's principles and expectations of you. And that's where I am. I've come to the point where a baby Christian, a lot of people say a baby Christian, and it was funny because I referred to myself as a baby Christian, but how long are you going to be a baby Christian? I am in my 40s, and I can no longer submit to and subscribe to being a baby Christian. And so that's where the transition and the reason for maybe the motivation for completing this Daniel fast, because I certainly desired a stronger and more connected relationship with God. And I felt like if I walk through this process as a start, then, that will kickstart my deeper relationship with God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. So we'll just continue on and get into this. I also believe that we are at a critical point in our own history of mankind, just in general, our humanity, that we need to make those determinations on where we're going, how we're going to live, who we're going to follow, and decide who we are going to live for. And I really feel that in my spirit. Like, we are in such a tumultuous time, and we have to have some sort of grounding. We have to have something that is keeping us aligned. And for me, I feel like that is my connection to God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. And so, again, we have to understand what and whom we are serving. All right, so when we talk about a Daniel fast, a Daniel fast is a partial fast. It's not a complete fast where you eat no food and only drink liquids. But the Daniel fast is a partial fast. So the foods that you can eat during a Daniel fast are vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, whole grains, beans and legumes, herbs and spices, herbal tea, and your primary beverage during the fast is just straight water. Foods that you need to avoid: any kinds of meats products, seafood, dairy, eggs, processed foods, baked goods, no alcohol, no caffeine containing drinks, and then any other beverages outside of water and herbal tea that is non-caffeinated. So if you think about that, it's restrictive, especially if you are used to eating out all the time, not preparing your own food, that kind of thing. It's very restrictive. However, if you're on the other side and you generally try to eat healthily, but you still have like coffee every day, drink a lot of pop, and just other beverages, wine, alcohol, that kind of thing, it's restricting in that aspect. For me, I won't say that it was easy. I will not say that it was easy, but I will say that it was easier for me to transition into this, because primarily I do follow a vegan diet, with the exception of a few things, but I eat meat very rarely. I just feel like it's heavy and it's really not great for you in terms of health, and especially the kinds of meat and the kind of farming and things that's going on. I don't feel like it's very healthy to eat meat. But occasionally I will eat something with certain restrictions. So for the transition for me, and I'll tell you, I drink water all the time. Really, that's the only thing that I drink. I may drink some coconut water here and there, but outside of that, I don't drink anything else but water. And I stopped drinking alcohol almost 2 years ago, completely. There's one exception. I had some soju. I wanted to try it, but outside of that, I don't drink any alcohol for personal reasons, but also I feel like alcohol for me just causes a lot of inflammation. So it's just really try to stay up out of that and not drink it at all. I may have a glass of wine here and there, but really honestly, outside of the soju, I haven't had any alcohol in the past almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in January. And yeah, so I think you can get very creative with this diet as long as you're adhering to the foods to include. And I'll tell you, I used a lot of coconut oil to cook with my food. And I don't know, my kids don't really like coconut oil or anything coconut. I switched to coconut stuff quite a little while ago, but in terms of like using oil, coconut oil is my primary. Outside of olive oil, I do use a lot of olive oil as well for my salads and stuff, but for cooking, I do use coconut oil. And also, I put it on, like, I use it a lot of times as a substitute for butter. Dairy does cause a lot of inflammation in our bodies. And so I still, before the fast, I still ate butter now, every now and again, but um, primarily use coconut oil. Yeah, so you can get creative. There are multiple websites out here that have recipes available. And all you have to do is just do a Google search real quick, and you'll find lots of recipes that you can use on the Daniel fast as well. And so again, I'll just say that the transition was a little easier because I had already been leaning towards more so of a vegan diet. And so the first week, I just felt like the first week was really smooth, like I just continued on with my regular diet, with the exception of using more coconut oil. But the first week I was very dedicated. And what I did during the 3 weeks is I prayed at least 3 times a day. I got more into the word, and spent a lot of more time with God during the day. And the second week, as I transitioned into the second week, I noticed that when I spoke, like I really felt the presence of the Holy Spirit. And, I felt this deeper connection. I really did. And for that, I was like completely grateful. I'm like, God, thank you. I was very specific about what I was praying for, very intentional about being grateful and gracious, and thanking God for like all my blessings, just even reflecting about my entire journey, my entire life journey so far. And, I could not be here physically where I am today if it wasn't for him, and really just giving him the glory and the praise and the honor for that. I am truly grateful. So then as I moved into the third week, the beginning of the third week was so difficult and I was struggling. And I will say that, I don't know about you, but sweets, like cake, sweets, I absolutely love cake. It's like if I eat a piece of cake, like that's it, I'm done. I can't stop. So chips are another vice for me. I love chips, and I get these cravings for chips. And so when I got into the third week, right, there's obviously no sugar allowed, no additional sugar allowed on this diet. And I felt like I was struggling with that point for wanting and craving sugar. I don't typically use like regular white sugar unless I'm baking or, making something. I don't typically add it to my foods. And usually I'll use like monk fruit or something. But without it, that third week, the beginning, like at least Monday through Wednesday of that third week, I struggled, and I really, really was like, okay, God, I've made it this far. I am not going to give up. I was very much tempted to just eat anything. And I was like, nope. I told myself, I have enough strength to get through this. And I prayed to God and I just said, God, please get me through this last week. I have made it this far. I even considered, because some people do the fast for like 7 days, some do it for 14, some do it for 10. And I considered, like, all right, God, I have made it 14 days. Maybe I should stop. And I was like, nope, you came into this with the point of doing it for 3 weeks. And so this is what you're going to do. And after I prayed about it that Wednesday, Thursday was my breakthrough point. Because after Thursday, it was like I had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was good. I felt like I was renewed and had an additional strength, just leaning in on God and being able to successfully complete the fast. And that third week, I will tell you, y'all may not believe this, but on the side of my eyes, I kept seeing like these lights. And at one point, I had walked up to the stove and there was like this light that came to my eye and I was swatting at it. And then once I realized what it was, I was like, God, thank you so much. So it was an amazing experience for me. Even still now, I am done. And I plan to stick within, the confines and the restrictions of the diet to a degree. As I mentioned, I was pretty much there anyway, but just continuing those habits that I created during the fast itself, especially praying 3 times a day, on my knees and just connecting with God and taking that time and giving Him the time to come into my life and the Holy Spirit. And so for me, I felt like this was transformational just in terms of me connecting with God. And I feel like I have so much of a deeper connection to God, but so much of a deeper understanding of how God works and, that He really does have our best interest at heart, that He loves us and He's always with us. He will never forsake us. And I felt like I had a deeper understanding of that through this process. So I would say if you are thinking about it, or if you're unfamiliar with the Daniel fast, just do some research. I hope this video gives you a little bit of clarification on it. And I will say that if we are truly going to be connected with God, there are things that we do that weigh us down. And a lot of it is the food that we eat. We are energy, right? We are energy sources. And a lot of the food that we eat just completely dims that. It decreases the energy flow. And I feel like that we need to be mindful of, especially, if we're drinking and we have these habits that aren't always the best for us. Not only are there health implications, but also I believe there are spiritual implications as well. So keep that in mind. I will be posting some more information on my website about the Daniel fast and just I think the importance of doing it. And I'll tell you, I've never done a spiritual fast before this. If I did any kind of fasting, it was more so to lose weight or, slim down or whatever, or just to detox. But I never have done a spiritual fast like this. And I feel like it was well worth the time, the energy, the restrictive nature of it, just to show myself that I can do it and that I do have the discipline as well as the ability to do certain things. And so I hope that this resonates with you. Please reach out to me if you need support. I'm wishing you well in your continued walk with God, and may He continue to keep you and guide you. All right, take care. God bless.